The blue and gold staff hit the road this past weekend in the states of Florida, Texas, and Illinois. And in this video, we're going to break down the big time Notre Dame recruits that we saw. Before we dive into the video, please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Go to blueandgold.com for all of your Notre Dame football recruiting coverage. And we'll start off here with Tyler Horka, beat writer at blueandgold.com, who was in the state of Texas, saw a doubleheader. It was going to be a tripleheader, but the Saturday game, seeing Malik Muhammad, four-star cornerback target, got canceled. So let's start with the Thursday night game first. Denton, Texas Geyer High School. Quarterback target, Jackson Arnold. Corner target, Ryan Yates. And safety, Peyton Bowen. All four-star recruits. Those two defensive backs, four-star recruits. Arnold, quarterback, who Notre Dame offered after he camped in June. And of course, those DBs visited Notre Dame in June as well. So I'll give you the floor here, Tyler. What did you see from those players? How did they look in the games?
Well, saw a whole lot from all three of them. Jackson Arnold is obviously kind of the face of that program right now. He's the starting quarterback. This is his first year to start. That was actually his first career start. So as a junior making his first career start, I thought he was very impressive. He scrambled up the middle for a 17-yard gain on the first play of the game. That kind of set the tone from there on out. He used his legs a bunch. He throws a really pretty pass, honestly. His deep ball was had a lot of touch on it. He really spun the ball out there. Geyer runs kind of a up-tempo, get the ball out quick, keep the chains moving type of offense, and he operated it beautifully, honestly. Got the ball to the receivers that the coaches were looking for him to get it to, and then he threw a nice little touchdown pass, 22-yarder to the left corner of the end zone. I thought it had a lot of touch on it. He showed a lot of poise for his first career start. And then defensively, the Ryan Yates and Peyton Bowen, they were just kind of all over the field. Ryan Yates plays more of like a lockdown corner type of style, so he was up press coverage all of the time. And then Peyton Bowen, I thought it was really interesting to see him play kind of a nickel corner. I know he's listed as a safety, and that's probably what he projects as at the next level. But he kind of shadowed the opposition's go-to slot receiver target, so he was locking him down too. Both of those guys play a really sound defensive style. I thought it was very telling in the first half. Ryan Yates came up and made a tackle for loss on a little bubble screen. The very next play, Peyton Bowen picked off a pass that was probably 40 yards in the air down the field, right over the middle of the field. So just to see them make back-to-back plays like that, you realize why Notre Dame is on a couple of kids from way down in North Texas. So I thought all three of them played a pretty good game, and Geyer ended up winning in blowout fashion, so that makes sense too.
Now, of course, we had the details on these recruitments in the gold standard on Monday, which we'll reference, I'm sure, a couple times in this video. But what can you tell us briefly about their recruitments? Arnold's is the fascinating one for me at the quarterback position. Notre Dame's after a few guys. Arnold is kind of like this unknown guy without the sexy offer sheet, but like the upside seems limitless for him. What can you tell me about those guys' recruitments?
Yeah, you can tell that Jackson Arnold is just totally blown away by the Notre Dame offer. He's flattered by it. He thinks it's his best offer. I think he told you that a couple of weeks ago. He told me that directly after the game. He said, "Look, Notre Dame is my biggest offer." Tommy Rees, the fact that they're down here, recruiting me is incredible. So Jackson Arnold is definitely looking to make it to a game at Notre Dame this fall, as are the other two as well. And I think that says a lot that Ryan Yates and Peyton Bowen both want to make it up to South Bend for a game this fall. Look, they've got all the Texas schools all over them. Texas, TCU, all of those types of schools are really recruiting these guys. So they both said that they are going to make it to a game. I think that is really telling. Jackson Arnold also trying to make it to a game as well. So look, you've got three kids from the same school in North Texas, all with Notre Dame very high on their radar. I think that's a very unique thing. I think that's a very cool thing for both Notre Dame and Denton Geyer and these three kids.
Speaking of North Texas, I mean, if you're referring to Denton as North Texas, what about
Mhm.
Denison? Is that like North Texas? That's up in the
Basically
Texoma
a border
region.
town, yeah.
Yeah, Texoma region. I was there in the spring to see Jadarian Price soon after he committed. Just an outstanding kid. I didn't get to see him play, though, which you did on Friday, and he rushed for a career high 259 yards and a score on just 22 carries. I mean, you even had that neat video of him blocking that defensive tackle. I mean, just how impressed were you by Jadarian Price?
Yeah, I was blown away by the Geyer kids, but Jadarian Price, that was kind of a whole different level just because he looks the part. Before the ball was even kicked off between Denison and Sherman on that Friday night, just watching him in warmups. I think I posted a picture that kind of went crazy on Twitter amongst Notre Dame fans and media. He just looks like a college running back right now. And I know he's a senior, so he almost is one, but I think I tweeted he's an offseason away from looking the part of a Notre Dame running back. No, he looks the part right now. The way he just churns out yards in any fashion. You mentioned he's a great blocker, so that comes with the physical tool set that physical skill set that he has. But then I mean he scored on a 70-yard touchdown as well. How many times do you score on a 70-yard touchdown and you're untouched? The play was a counter to the left. He didn't like what he saw to the left, immediately bounced it outside of the right. Next thing you know, he's running free away from a bunch of Sherman defenders. And look, that was a huge rivalry game in North Texas between a couple of schools that don't really like each other. So for him to go for 259 and a touchdown and kind of just set the tone. I mentioned Jackson Arnold setting the tone for Geyer. Jadarian Price definitely set the tone for Denison. He is kind of their leader. If you had to pick one guy from either side of the ball, it's Jadarian Price for that team, and he just looked the part. He played the part. He had an excellent game.
And he's certainly like a lead by example, type of leader. He's not a big rah fiery guy.
Sure.
And and again, in my interaction with him, a fantastic young man. I know you got to talk to him for just a little bit. I mean, did it scream Notre Dame fit for you as well?
Yeah, I thought it was incredible just because, like I said, this was a huge rivalry game. So there were a lot of people on the field. I mean, TV stations, other reporters, everyone wanted to talk to him. And I went up to him. I said, "Hey, man, do you have a couple minutes? I work for a site that covers Notre Dame." And, his eyes kind of lit up when he heard Notre Dame. And he said, "Yeah, of course, man, I'll talk to you." And we get to chatting for a couple of minutes. And then all of a sudden, his head coach is tapping him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you've got a live TV hit like right now." And he apologized to me. He was like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. We can, talk again after this, but I got to go do this right now." I was like, "Yeah, I think after running for 259 yards and a touchdown, leading your team to a victory, you should go get on live television." So
Yeah.
he just seemed like an excellent guy, answered all my questions thoroughly. Yes, he screams Notre Dame fit for sure. So, Mike, yeah, you were down in Tampa, Florida this past weekend seeing Keon Keeley. What were your impressions from the performance that he had?
Wow. It was a wow. Unlimited potential. The upside is just massive. Rivals has him as a 4-star recruit, number 106 overall, which I think is fair right now. But I think, as things progress, I think he's got all the potential in the world to be a 5-star recruit. The biggest plus in his game right now is his ability to get after the passer, and that's what you would want in a Viper because that's kind of their main job is to rush the quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, his sack where he just ran over the right tackle and got to the quarterback, and the play before that, he had a TFL where he just knifed in right away and brought down the running back. 3 sacks on the game, several quarterback hurries. I mean, 6 tackles in total. It was a really good performance for Keon Keeley in that game. 6'6", 230 pounds. I thought that height and weight was very accurate. I'm 6'2". He towers over me. It was a big rivalry game against Clearwater Central Catholic. Berkeley Prep came away with a 2-touchdown victory. So just he's got a nice spin move. The pass rushing ability of Keon Keeley is going to take him far in his Notre Dame career.
You mentioned the pass rushing and you mentioned Viper. Is that what you see him playing once he gets on campus at Notre Dame?
It is, a lot of times when you look at a kid like Keeley and it's like, man, he's 6'6", 230 as a junior. What is he going to be in 2 years? We talking about him being, 260, 265. And then does he, become a strong side end? Is that kind of the projection? I still like him at Viper. And the guy I'm kind of thinking of in my mind when it comes to Keon Keeley is Isaiah Foskey, Notre Dame's starting Viper for this season. He's 6'5", 260. Like Notre Dame's Vipers, the past couple years been a little bit on the slimmer side in terms of weight. I see Keeley being about 6'6", and I'm just kind of making this up as I go in terms of I can't just tell you guys what he's going to be in 3-4 years from now in terms of his height and weight, but I could see him playing at about 6'6". Maybe he grows to 6'7". Again, he's only a junior high school, but about 250 to 260 like Isaiah Foskey. Both guys just athletic freaks getting after the quarterback. Man, I think if you're Mike Elston, you have Isaiah Foskey, and then when he's gone, in comes Keon Keeley at the Viper position, and not to mention a bunch of other talented Vipers he's recruited. And lastly, we'll go to Patrick Engel, who was at Chicago Simeon's road matchup at Joliet Catholic. Malik Elzy, a four-star wide receiver in the 2023 class, is a target for the Fighting Irish at Simeon. Now, Joliet Catholic blew out Simeon, was not close, but I know Elzy still had a strong game. He caught the lone touchdown for Simeon in the game. So tell us how Elzy looked in the game, body language, what kind of receiver he is. Break that all down for us.
Not a whole lot for Simeon to celebrate. They lost 55-6, but LZ did score their one touchdown, and he had another big kick return that was actually called back due to a penalty. But overall, it was an impressive outing, even in that less than ideal circumstances for his team. That touchdown was, I think, it was about a 50-yarder. Most of it after the catch, where just put a one fake step going outside that got a defender to commit going that way. Came back inside just on a simple comeback, caught it, shook a tackle and sidestepped it and did the rest. You saw on that and on that kick return a lot of lateral agility and ability to make defenders miss without losing speed and the ability to change pace that I thought was pretty impressive. And showed up on the kick return too, where he probably ran a total of 170 yards, catching the ball on one sideline, going to the other, and then coming all the way back to the original sideline before he got tackled, negated due to a block in the back. But you like the yards after catch ability, especially for a receiver who's listed at 6'3" and just under 200 pounds, a guy who you probably envisioned playing that boundary receiver type, but someone who's not only a contested catch weapon, although we didn't really see a whole lot of that from LZ in this game, a guy who can run after the catch and not just be a downfield presence. And the other thing that you think about is, okay, LZ's he's just starting his junior year. He's not yet 17. And you see a guy who's 6'3" and at that age and think, okay, he's probably got to fill out a little bit. He's more physically developed in terms of build than I was really expecting. You see that 198-pound listing and think, is that really accurate? But it actually, upon seeing him in person, it looked right. And you mentioned the body language, and a tough game for Simeon there, but I think he really sees himself as a team leader for them, where there was a series after Simeon's quarterback threw an interception trying to get the ball to LZ on fourth down, where quarterback's kind of alone on the bench, pretty upset with himself. And LZ comes over there, gets on a knee, looks him in the eye, and gives him a firm but still encouraging pep talk as far as like, hey, we need you here, shake it off, and don't worry about it. This isn't over yet. Obviously, the second half didn't end up going well, but I thought that was an interesting thing from him too.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's big. You talk about a diva position as receivers, opening game, hyped. You want to have a big game, and then you get smacked around like that. So, and I know he talked to you after the game as well, and that shows some maturity there for, again, just a 16-year-old. And that's going to do it for this video. Appreciate you guys sticking around to the end here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys, what we're building here at blueandgold.com. Make sure you go to our website and check out our magazine as well, Blue and Gold Illustrated, for all things Notre Dame football.